You mean doing it? No. Come on. There are heinous crimes that take place that federal law enforcement agencies are supposed to be fucking combating. That's ridiculous. Okay? I'm not going to sit here and act like these guys are not, under different circumstances, like tasked with like dealing with drug dealers and shit. This is the same thing that I talked about with ICE. Like the FBI and the INS, but specifically the FBI, used to engage in sex trafficking cases. They would literally actually combat real cases of human trafficking, sex trafficking, and the like. And then it was brought under ICE, and ICE does have that division. The problem is they're not working on that. This is what the fucking administration is making them do. When I say abolish ICE, I don't mean like the functions of ICE that were given to ICE that previously were handled by like federal law enforcement. You know what I mean? Like someone's still. You have an obligation to refuse unlawful orders, he told them. They drove by saying nothing.
These are your own fucking citizens. These are homeless people. You guys are fucking crook. Don't let them do this to you. It's abusive to you, and now you are gonna get fucked. When you're fucked up, you have to go to the VA and they cut all your services. Refuse now. Do not do this. You have the obligation to refuse.
I feel like that drug fire story went right by. I'm tired. An hour ago, they're going after people with cameras. In Washington, D.C., a United States Park police officer drew their baton and approached a cameraman who was continuously filming a traffic stop. Yeah, it's also funny because like they got like park police and stuff. Like they have national parks. Like they brought every fucking federal agency that they can and deployed them. So there's like I wonder if there's like a postal service cops and shit. You know what I mean? Running around brutalizing homeless people. Right back at it. He's still filming. My goat. There are literally postal service police doing deportations right now. Federal officials arrested a delivery driver on the 14th Street Northwest this morning. I asked the man arrested if they gave him a reason. He responded, "They're taking me." DC neighbors stepped in and asked why he's been taken. No answer from officials. Many delivery drivers in DC are undocumented. With Trump's raids, he'll likely see sweeps of DoorDash and Uber delivery people. Not exactly the worst of the worst, but it's never been about that, as this operation takes the FBI and DEA away from their other important normal work. That's the other thing. That's the other, like, these guys are supposed to have tasks that they're assigned to, like combating drug trafficking, kidnappings, fucking, child sex trafficking, things like that. And now this is what they're tasked with. Like harassing random working class people who happen to be brown.
¿Qué motivo te dieron? ¿Qué motivo te dieron?
I can't tell. I feel like Trump is saying that this is like Vladimir Putin is coming to me rather than me going to him. But also at the same time, you're inviting a war criminal, well, I guess after Benjamin Netanyahu, another war criminal to American soil again. So what if they arrest Putin? They're not arresting Putin. What are you, crazy?
I just heard it. You gave me a little breaking news. I appreciate it. But I think he wants to get it done. I really feel he wanted the whole thing. I think if it weren't me, if it was somebody else, he would be not talking to anybody. He wasn't talking. When I was previous to being elected, unfortunately, the 2020 election where we did so well, it was very unfortunate, the result. But what happened is when I came in, I realized, I said, this is a man that really wants the whole thing. And I think he does want
It was the apple of his eye.
the whole thing, and I think he has wanted the whole thing.
It was the apple of his eye.
Because because of a certain relationship that he has with me running this country. He really, I believe now, he's convinced that he's going to make a deal. He's going to make a deal. I think he's going to, and we're going to find out. I'm going to know very quickly. We're going to go into the meeting. We're going to see him. We're going to, I won't do what Bush did, look him in the eye. I'm not going to do that. I'll look him right in the eye, but I feel a little bit differently than Bush. It didn't work out too well for Bush. Remember this, Brian. Under Bush, they lost a lot of land. Under Obama, they lost a lot of land, Crimea. Under Biden, they would have lost the whole thing if he had won the president. They would have lost the entire Ukraine. And they had the war started and raging. It would have never started if I was president. Not even a chance. And it didn't for 4 years. You know that. Nobody ever even talked about it. But under Trump, you know what? They got nothing. They got nothing. Except javelins hitting their tanks and lots of other things. And remember this, I was the one that stopped Nord Stream 2. You know, they always like to say, oh, millions of people coming in the year before. Think of it, millions and millions of people. And without legislation, you know, Biden said we have to get legislation changed. You didn't need anything. That was just an excuse for incompetence. The last 3 months, Brian, we had zero people. It was a 0, 0, and 0.
You seen that guy throwing a sandwich? Throwing a sandwich at our brave law enforcement officers. What if the sandwich was instead a bomb? We gotta arrest everybody. I felt like I was hit in the face with the sandwich. When I saw that video, I saw the horror. Pam Bondi said the sandwich thrower that I'm referencing, by the way, apparently was a motherfucking Department of Justice employee. Dope. I love that. Hit the officer hog with the $5 fent long. No, that he would have perished on the spot. Fired DOJ employee could face prison for throwing sandwich at officer. Police allege that the man approached law enforcement, including Metro Transit Police and U.S. Customs and Border Protection officers, and began yelling obscenities. Attorney General Pam Bondi said Thursday the Justice Department employee has been fired after he was arrested for allegedly throwing a sandwich at a federal law enforcement officer. Sean Charles Dunn approached law enforcement officers, including Metro Transit Police and U.S. Customs and Border Protection officers, and began yelling obscenities and calling them fascists. At about 11:05 p.m., according to federal court filing, Dunn, 37, approached an officer, threw a sandwich at him. He was charged with assaulting, resisting, or impeding certain officers and employees of the United States. After his arrest, Dunn allegedly told one of the officers, "I did it. I threw a sandwich." It's so fucking stupid that, like, you got a guy that just, like, threw you a sandwich, and then he gets hit with, like, the entire long dig of the law. It blows my mind. It's like impeding a government official from doing their job, obstruction of justice, resisting arrest, assault with a deadly weapon. It's like, no, man, he just threw a fucking sandwich at you. You could have just let him run away, by the way. You didn't even have to catch him. People get so weird when it comes to, like, law and order. People get so fucking strange. Like, dude, you are wearing a Kevlar vest. A white dude in khaki shorts threw a sandwich at your chest. Okay? I'm sorry. Just eat it. Who gives a fuck? Like, what's the damage here? Assault with a deli weapon. Assault with a Bradley weapon. It's just like when these guys are talking about, like, law and order, they're talking about, like, individual cops' personal feelings. Because you watch the video of the assault with the deli weapon, and, like, Like, that's nothing. That's nothing. The sandwich basically falls apart on impact. International affairs specialist. He's literally a Fed. Yes, he is. Turns out even Feds can have a conscience. Prosecutor said he was being charged with forcibly assaulting, resisting, or impeding a federal officer, which is punishable by up to 8 years in prison. Can you imagine? They put this motherfucker in the slammer for 8 years for throwing a deli sandwich at a pig. Get the fuck out of here, man. Eight fucking years, bro. This is what American taxpayer dollars are paying for in DC. Apparently, it took 6 of Trump's Nazi Gestapo to cuff and put a bag over the head of a homeless person in a wheelchair. Great. Dude has no legs, bro. He has one leg and no feet. Are you out of your fucking mind?
Yeah, 25%.
And you would say that if he just says, "Hey, I'm going to stay with me."
All the time and energy, and went over there, and we didn't come out with in a short period of time. Not from this meeting. This meeting sets up the second meeting.
Oh my God, bro. This is cooked. Ain't nothing coming out of this shit, okay? Straight up, bro. Clear to me that there ain't nothing coming out of this, bro. Now he's just like, this is the first meeting to set up the next meeting that will happen inevitably when the last final meeting will happen. It's just like, yeah, well, this is... I was thinking, like, he's crazy. Trump is crazy. Putin's crazy. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe something super chaotic takes place. Because you never know with these guys. But now I feel like this is just old friends. Old friends that miss one another, getting to see each other.
The second meeting is going to be very, very important because that's going to be a meeting where they make a deal, and I don't want to use the word divvy things up, but, to a certain extent, it's not a bad term, okay? But there will be a give and take as to boundaries, lands, et cetera, et cetera. The second meeting is going to be very, very important. This meeting sets up, it's like a chess game. This meeting sets up the second meeting. But there is a 25% chance that this meeting will not be a successful meeting, in which case I will run the country, and we have made America great again already in 6 months.
And you'll hit them with consequences, right? You'll hit them with more sanctions. The Senate sanctions go front and center if he disrespects. Yeah. Oh,
sure. If it's not solved, look, again, we didn't lose any soldiers. We didn't lose anybody. But this was a war. If I didn't get in here, this could have been World War III. I'm telling you. Biden had no idea. He had no clue what was happening. This was getting so bad. And at a minimum, I've calmed it way down.
So
I think you'd agree with that. Way, way down. But they're still losing thousands of soldiers a week, and we have to get that taken care of.
So in Washington, D.C., you did something substantial, and that is put the National Guard in, federalized troops, got rid of the sanctuary city status, and for 30 days, you're trying to bring some semblance of order, extreme order to Washington, D.C. I want you to hear what the mayor said about what you're doing. This is Mayor Muriel Bowser, and here's what she said, cut to.
We all need to do what we can in our space, in our lane, to protect our city. and to protect our autonomy and get to the other side of this guy. Make sure we elect a Democratic House so that we have a backstop to this authoritarian push.
She's not welcoming the additional law enforcement.
Well, she actually is, but she doesn't want to say it, okay? Because crime in Washington, D.C. is totally out of control, worse than ever. And as you know, they fired or something happened to the person that does the stats because they wanted him in this case, I think, to do stats which were much better in terms of crime. And they were changing crimes to, this kind of a crime, that kind of a crime doesn't get counted anymore and all that.
So you don't believe those stats?
It's actually worse. It's worse now than ever before. You know that. Anybody that lives here knows that. I have never had so many calls thanking me. I tell you.
Right.
And I look at those streets, and those streets are safe, and they're going to be very safe in a week or so. Look what I did at the border. I had
Republicans straight up want to do Israel for white people in the exact same way that Richard Spencer has talked about. And then the Democrats want to be the fake opposition party. Just like the fake opposition party exists in Israel. It's just fascism. Fucking Benny Johnson on Washington, D.C. Entire neighborhoods probably need to be emptied, need to be bulldozed.
President Trump is doing God's work by refederalizing D.C. By the way, D.C. was set up as a federal city. It's in the Constitution. It's how our founding fathers intended it. These laws are still fully enforceable. They've never been rescinded or amended. President Trump and the executive, through the House of Representatives, controls Washington, D.C. President Trump controls budgets. House of Representatives and the Speaker of the House is technically and historically the mayor, the lead of D.C. That still remains on the books. What happened to D.C., especially during the civil rights period, was that protesters that were bussed up here stayed here. The city was burned to the ground. This happened during massive riots throughout the 60s and 70s. Mass swaths of the city were torched and were never really rebuilt. And so what President Trump is doing is reasserting control of not only our nation's capital, but truly the seat of Western civilization. There's one final little note here that kind of blends outside of the personal, which is that Washington, D.C. is a representation of the work of your forefathers and mine. It is, by every measure, a very beautiful city architecturally. It is a sacred city. It is a sovereign place with the monuments to great men and women who've sacrificed far more than you or I could ever dream for this country. It must be preserved because the peoples of Earth come here by the millions per year in order to witness the success or failures of our systems. And if you are a proud patriot and you love this country and you wish for it to be reflected honorably to the peoples of Earth, then Washington, D.C. must be swept.
What are you, a fucking alien? Why do you keep saying that, bro? That's weird. What a strange way to conduct yourself. Just curious, is the man in the closet? Yes. He's not even doing a good job hiding it either. He's very famously not allowed to. I know for a fact that he's not allowed to go on trips by himself anymore without his wife present.
Clean. I believe entire neighborhoods probably need to be emptied, need to be bulldozed. I believe that there are places that are so crime-ridden and so infested that you just...
Like, the opposition party to this kind of sentiment cannot just quietly try to go back to business as usual politics. Like, I'm not even joking when I say this. When when this party and all of its vestiges are out of power, there needs to be actual legal repercussions. You know what I mean? So if the Democrats are basically just cowering and showing their bellies and allowing this kind of sentiment to continue to thrive, they're not going to win anything. But if they're, let's say, in the future, by some kind of serious miracle, that they actually end up winning power again, they can't just let these dudes continue. You know what I mean? This is part of the reason why I say I don't even know if it's going to get to that point. I mean, I'm not saying this is certain, that there's certainly not going to be another election or whatever, but like, this is part of the reason why I keep repeating over and over again that they keep talking about like there might not be one, you know?
You're just going to have to crack down. You're going to have to do the job, and you're going to have to get the crime out of Washington. That's my personal experience. Don't believe the bullshit that you hear online from some reporters. Oh, crime's down in D.C. Well, my infant nearly died in a drug fire after mass shootings. So no, D.C. is not safe. And I can tell you this as a matter of fact, it is one of the worst, most racist narco states and welfare states imaginable. In that neighborhood that I would walk every single day, racial epithets were screamed at us, rocks were thrown at us because we were white people. This city is a sunken place. It is an unsafe place. I mean, if that's what happens to me, imagine what happens to somebody who's like visiting here from a foreign country. Right? It's totally and wholly unsafe and a scar on the face of our country. And it must be healed. And President Trump is going about that heavy work.
This is the streets of DC, by the way. Don't let them do this to you. A man just now yelled at National Guard troops patrolling Washington, D.C. These are our own citizens. These are homeless people. Look at this violent criminal that they're taking off the street, dude. Oh, my God. Everything is so fucking lame.
Even I find that hard to believe, but it's like, you know, it's like somebody did it, and I hear the people that do it are the same people that were doing the BLS and all the other different things that they do with the fake reports. But you know what? They gave it a 0. I'll take it. But essentially, it's very close to 0 or it's 0 for 90 days now. Nobody believes it's, even the Republicans camp. I'm getting calls from senators and congressmen and women, and they're saying that's amazing. But that is, frankly, I believe it's more difficult than what we have here. But we have inherently some very, very dangerous people living in Washington, D.C., and we got to get them out.
And the president's focusing on doing just that. President of the United States, 45th and 47th, giving us some quality time today. When we come back, you're going to hear more from him, not only talking about
quality time.
Vladimir Putin voicing praise for the Trump administration's efforts to forge peace in Ukraine.
To tell you about the stage we are at with the current American administration, which, as everyone knows, is making, in my opinion, quite energetic and sincere efforts to stop the hostilities, stop the crisis, and reach agreements that are of interest to all parties involved in this conflict in order to create long-term conditions for peace between our countries and in Europe and in the world as a whole. If by the next stages we reach agreements in the area of control over strategic offensive weapons.
Well, meantime, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is rallying European support, meeting today with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer in London. That coming amid a rush of diplomacy as European leaders present a united front heading into the Alaska summit. President Zelensky says they discussed security guarantees in detail, a key issue in getting Ukraine to agree to a ceasefire. And a senior Putin aide today shared some details about the summit, which will be held at a U.S. military base in Anchorage, Alaska. He says it will start at 11:30 a.m. local time, that's 3:30 p.m. in Washington, and 10:30 p.m. in Moscow.
I can't wait,
One-on-one
dude.
talks with the help of interpreters. He says the two presidents will hold a joint news conference. He also says both delegations will have 5 members with groups of experts nearby. Well, we are joined by Klaus Sebastian here in London and Nick Payton-Walsh, who's joining us live from Kyiv. So Nick, to you first, just in response to what we heard from Vladimir Putin then, can tell us what you can unwrap from those comments as we look ahead to the summit this Friday?
Yeah, it did appear that some of the worst fears potentially of European leaders and certainly Ukraine about what this summit may evolve into are potentially being realised, certainly in how Putin is framing this bilateral meeting. Talking about a strategic weapons treaty, he doesn't say the word nuclear, but most treaties refer to that kind of weapon or nuclear capable missiles. And really, I think focusing the discussion on what Trump can get out of improving relationships with Russia. Can there be a US-Russian strategic deal in all of this? Playing on the, some might say, misconception within Trump's inner circle that somehow Russia, utterly dependent on China to bankroll its war, can somehow be prized away from Beijing and moved into the American orbit almost as an ally against China. That was a misconception that most, I think, felt had been laid to rest months ago after Trump got increasingly disappointed with Putin. But Putin does appear to think that this summit is much more about bilateral relations. Yes, he talked about the energy being put into trying to find a solution to the Ukraine conflict, which he started. But it is clear too also that, you know, in those simple words that he may well be trying to throw at Trump in that meeting something, not of a red herring. Obviously the world is interested in seeing a lesser threat of strategic weapons being used by either the United States or Russia. But that wasn't initially the point of this Alaska meeting. That was the war in Ukraine. And so while it's entirely impossible, frankly, to predict how this meeting will go, and Trump appears to, when he speaks to his European allies, emerge tough, talking about very serious consequences yesterday, apparently, according to the German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, saying he won't be negotiating away Ukraine's territory. That's for Ukraine to do. Merz also talked about how serious decisions can be made at that meeting. So I think there's no doubt in the minds of Europeans what they want him to enter into that meeting thinking, or either that there could be some potentially unpleasant surprises between those two sides meeting without Europeans or Ukrainians in the room. And so Zelensky in Downing Street to again have another audience or feel amplified his concerns, for Europe to amplify their concerns again. It's all been pretty consistent, frankly. Ceasefire first, negotiations around the frozen front lines as they currently stand. No suggestion that either side would be happy to give up territory at all. It seems, to be honest, mostly far-fetched. But that has been translated to Trump. Quite whether it gets echoed in that meeting with Putin is really unclear. Trump's called it a listening exercise. It feels at this stage like he's ultimately going to see what Putin's willing to offer. If he likes it, he'll pursue it. And that somehow takes US agency out of these discussions.
Yeah. Nick, thank you.
Imperial Boomerang. Chickens come home to roost. Washingtonians have meekly accepted both Congress and 2 consecutive presidents' unconditional support for Israel's slaughter and raising of Gaza. Now those same politics are playing out right here in D.C. Benny Johnson on... Dude, this is what I've always said. America loves Israel, and American politicians love Israel because they're jealous. Like, they want to do Israel here. Okay? That's it.
Look at the reports coming out. Everybody's moving back to the United States. Car companies, AI companies, everybody's moving back. They're all starting their factories now. We've never had anything like this. It is truly the golden age of America, but he respects our country now. He did not respect our country with Biden. Who did?
Right. I know you're a big athlete. You not only watch sports, you play sports. You always have to try to pre-think what's going to happen. You have to picture how it's going to happen so you know how you act. So the one thing that...
I know you never played sports, but you watch sports, which is a lot like playing sports. You're very athletic that way. your profound understanding of watching sports has basically made you into an athlete. Why even present it as such? Just fucking say what you're going to say.
Some people have said is the incentive that could get his attention is economic incentives. Are you walking in that room with economic incentives for Russia?
No, I refuse to acknowledge that golf is a sport similar to the athletic endeavors that he is talking about.
In order to stop.
Especially the way that Trump plays it, okay? When his fat ass gets in that fucking cart and then has like 18 different people around him basically do everything but line him up. He used to play tennis, that's true. He was a tennis player. That photo lives in my mind.
The fighting.
Well, I'd rather not say because I don't want to play my hand in public, but whatever my hand is, economic...
Whatever my hand is.
Incentives and disincentives maybe are more important in a way, but incentives economically. You know, Russia's got a tremendous potential. They have the largest piece of land by far.
Right.
It's massive. It's got great wealth on it.
But all they do is oil. All they do is oil and gas. They can't even they can't even farm.
But that's okay. Oil and gas is a very profitable business. You know, that's better than I make shirts, T-shirts. You know, oil and gas. If you say that's all they do, that's if you're going to have one business that's good, that's the business to have, and they have it.
Got it.
So you know they have a lot of advantages going over most countries because of the fact they have oil and gas at massive numbers like we do, and economic sanctions are very powerful, and economic incentives are very powerful, both.
Mark Thiessen, who I know you respect from the Washington Helsinki.
We haven't. I thought we had a great press conference last time. It was the fake news tried to make it bad, in particular MSDNC. They tried to make it bad. These are very dishonest people, but it was a great news conference. You know, it was rated phenomenal, and then about 2, 3, 4 hours later, they came up with this stupid scheme about me and Russia and what did we say at the meeting and, where do we get the tapes, the old story. But, no, I thought we had a great meeting. And don't forget, we're under a lot of pressure because we had the Russia hoax going on. So I told him, I said,
why does he sound so sad? I don't think he does. I think he sounds excited. I think he's excited to see Vladimir Putin. I feel like I've seen him more energized and more dynamic in these past couple of days than ever before. I'm not even kidding. He's in bed kicking his feet up. Yeah, for sure.
It's going to be very hard, and he told me to. He understood. I said it's going to be very hard for us to make an economic development deal of any kind because I have the Russia hoax going on, and anything I do with Russia,
that was 2017.
Say, I'm owned by Putin, which is not even close.
So, Mr. President, you were going to have a press conference today after the meeting, correct?
I'm going to have a press conference. I don't know if it's going to be a joint. We haven't even discussed it. I think it might be nice to have a joint and then
you
separate.
Make it sound like he's a toddler. I mean, am I wrong? Am I wrong to present Donald Trump as a toddler? Do you think any funky stuff will happen at the summit? As someone who used to get mad about Donald Trump is gay for Vladimir Putin type statements in the first most heated days of the Russiagate stuff, I can't help but recognize that he's kind of gay for Putin. I think the libs might have been on to something on that one. He is. He's like Blue Hanan is crazy on a lot of issues, but this is the one time where it's like he's just so excited. He's so excited for Pootie Poo. Bro, you know he's shaving, okay? And I don't mean his face. You feel me?
But something like that will happen. Or if the meeting doesn't end well, I'll just have a press conference and head out. I'll head back to Washington.
So yeah, if it's not positive, you might head back. Is there any situation?
No,
and
it's not positive. I will head back.
Oh, I know that. I mean, you'll just head right back. You won't have the press conference. I know you're coming back, but
no, I would say I'll have a press conference in either event.
Okay.
If it's a negative, I'll have a press conference to say that the war is going to go on, and these people are horribly going to continue to shoot each other and kill each other, and I think it's a disgrace. And I'll head back to Washington, or I'll have a press conference that's positive. You know, in doing 6 wars, think of it, and I obliterated, and now the term obliterated can be used because the Atomic Energy Commission, everybody said, total obliteration. These pilots did a phenomenal job. CNN and their fake reporter tried to, just a scammer, CNN tried to say that, well, maybe the hit wasn't quite as good.
Right.
Maybe it wasn't obliteration. Maybe, anything to hurt people, anything to demean. And in this case, they were demeaning the incredible people that flew in an airplane for 36 hours back and forth and did one of the most perfect attacks in the history of our country. No, it was a total obliteration.
And of course, that him's talking about Iran. We had a great conversation with President Trump. It went about 40 minutes. You just heard about 17. When we come back, among the things we'll talk about is what would failure be like? How is there any scenario where this meeting in Alaska would be a failure?
So let's talk about, there's so much going on. And my last question to this real quick, is there any scenario where Donald Trump will look at this meeting in Alaska and say, this was not worth it, I failed?
Okay. Wow. A lot of you guys who are supposedly quote unquote woke all of a sudden have an issue when a white man sits his white ass down and listens to real Slav voices.
Time since 2019. The setting, Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson outside Anchorage, Alaska. A 9-hour flight from Moscow, 7 hours from Washington, D.C.
For Putin it's his opportunity to try to strengthen that bond with President Trump.
Andrea Kendall-Taylor is a former U.S. intelligence official who specialized in Russia.
One of Putin's strategies in the past has been to claim that he wants peace and wants a negotiation as a means to prolong the war itself. Is that at play this time, do you think?
I think absolutely. I think Putin is concerned that Trump has had a change of heart, you could say, on Russia. We've seen in recent weeks that President Trump has grown more frustrated with Putin, has threatened to impose more meaningful costs on Russia, like secondary sanctions on Russia's oil sector.
Just yesterday, Trump threatened harsh repercussions if these meetings with Putin don't bear fruit.
There will be very severe consequences.
New reports out of Russia this morning indicate that Putin is going to join President Trump for a press conference after their meetings here tomorrow. And it's pretty difficult for Putin to travel abroad right now, given the war crimes allegations against him and the sanctions that have been placed on his country. So,
oh my God. Oh my God, I totally forgot. He's literally a war criminal. Dude, it's been so long. Wait. Dude, I forgot that Putin also has travel restrictions like Benjamin Netanyahu. I'm not even kidding. Until this very moment, I was like, why Alaska? Why not a separate place? God, the ICC's got no motion, dude. It is such a clear and present vestige of American empire. Like, that's two war criminals that we just ship off to American soil. God damn, dude. Dude, the ICC is the biggest no motion ass fucking institute. The U.S. is not a part of the treaty for the ICC and the ICJ. Yeah, except the United States is literally the country that offered direct evidence to the ICC for its war crime, for its war criminal designation for Vladimir Putin. And the United States, despite not being a part of the treaty, also celebrated the ICC's decision. So that's very different. We did the opposite of Benjamin Netanyahu this time when it was against Vladimir Putin, which I guess Trump has decided. See, Trump is more Trump is more consistent. He's on that fuck ICC shit no matter what.
Take a look at this, Gail. The Treasury Department has issued a special license to allow Putin and his team to land here on U.S. soil tomorrow, despite the sanctions. The license is good through August 20th.
Nancy, thank you. CBS News will have complete coverage of President Trump's meeting with Putin tomorrow here on CBS and streaming on CBS News 24/7. Be led by John Dickerson and Margaret Brennan.
Well, I'm going to go there, and I'm representing a lot of people, and especially people that are being killed unnecessarily, like 5,000 to 7,000 soldiers a week. They're not Americans, but their lives, their souls. And if I can stop something, I've stopped 6 wars this year. Yeah, this was going to be one of my easy ones, but it never works out that way. This turns out to be probably the most difficult. I stopped one that was raging for 35 years, one that was raging in the Congo with Rwanda, you know that, for 31 years. And this one is raging for 3.5 years, and I'm not happy about it. It's ridiculous, and we're going to get it stopped. We're going to get it stopped.
Donald Trump, just the only bloodshed that Donald Trump wants is Israel. He's like, I'm going to stop it all. I'm going to stop all the bloodshed. Israel is anti-Semitic, that it takes away attention from Israel's bloodshed, which is justified. I'm going to stop it. I'm going to come.
I inherited this from Joe Biden, but we're going to get it stopped.
So Vladimir Putin just spoke, and I have the readout, if I could share it with you. He's just said the American administration, which, as everyone knows, is making, in my opinion, quite energetic and sincere efforts to stop the hostilities, stop the crisis, and reach agreements that are in the interest of all parties involved in this conflict in order to create long-term conditions of peace between our countries and in Europe and in the world as a whole. If we reach agreements in the area of control over strategic offensive weapons at the next stage, and then it's cut off. So he seems to be in the right mindset going in. How will you know if he's in the mindset for a ceasefire and a long-term end to the conflict?
Well, I think you'll know that in the first couple of minutes, but I think you already know that because he's coming to Alaska. He's coming to the USA, and I think you know that. I think that's a nice statement.
Wait, that's a bigger flex for him almost. No? Like, isn't that, I don't know. I feel like Trump claiming that this is